I don't know about you all, but I'm still not over the sin that Nico Harrison committed to the fans of the Dallas Mavericks. At first glance, I thought it was a joke, but upon further research, it actually happened. The Dallas Mavericks are really that stupid as a franchise. It looks like Jerry Jones is no longer the most hated general manager in Dallas. If you live under a rock or don't follow sports or just forgot because this was about a month ago or something, the Dallas Mavericks have traded Luka Doncic, their star player, to the Los Angeles Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis, and apparently the Utah Jazz had something to do with this as well. Let me unconfusify this further for those who don't follow sports. Luka Doncic is 25 years old and turning 26 at the end of the month. Actually, no, he's already 26. Forgive me, I wrote this script in February. He's one of the greatest players in the NBA and what looks to be the future of whatever team he graces. Anthony Davis, on the other hand, he's 31, soon to be 32 in just over a month. He's decently old and he's seen a fair share of play in this league. Sure he's tall and could play defense, but still, he's no Luka Doncic. With the other players bundled into this trade, such as Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris also going to LA and Max Christie going to Dallas, the Mavericks also secured a 2029 first-round pick. A 2029 first. 2029 is 4 years from now, mind you. I will be a senior in high school by the time this draft pick gets used. This trade sent me bonkers. It still does. And it made me wonder, what other weird trades have occurred in sports history? And would it make for a good first podcast episode? Probably. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to From the Bench. I am Lucas Marini, and I will be your host. Sports have seen their fair share of weird trades and absolute robberies of star players. It would be bound to happen since the NBA is 79 years old, the NFL is 105, the NHL is 108, and the MLB is literally ancient. So today, we're going to look back at my personal favorite lopsided trades throughout history, minus the Doncic trade because we kind of just talked about that. Stick around, this is going to get interesting. The Seattle Supersonics were one of the most surprising teams going into the 1987 draft. They went 39-43, barely squeezing their way into the playoffs as the 7th seed. Something turned on, where they upset Dallas and Houston to make it to the Western Conference Finals. The only thing stopping them? The 1986-87 Los Angeles Lakers. If you don't know basketball at all and have not a clue what I'm talking about, that's alright. Some notable players on that Lakers team include Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Frank Burkowski, and lest we not forget, Magic Johnson. All on the same team. No freaking crap a Seattle Supersonics team on a Cinderella run would get past this team. Actually, as a matter of fact, the Lakers swept them. Seattle looks very promising with a power 3 players in Dale Ellis, Tom Chambers, and Xavier McDaniel, each averaging 23 or more points a game. They also have a decent young point guard by the name of Nate McMillan. They wanted more. Luckily, there was a guy from Central Arkansas in the draft by the name of Scottie Pippen. The Chicago Bulls were interested in this guy, but the Supersonics needed a backup plan. The player they wanted, Reggie Williams, wouldn't be available at the 5th pick in the draft, where the Supersonics were in the order. However, Pippen would be available. When draft day came along, the Clippers took Reggie Williams at 4, leaving Seattle to take Scottie Pippen at 5, specifically for the Bulls, even though the trade hadn't been official yet. The Bulls at the 8th pick then took Olden Polynice from Virginia. Seattle also had the 9th pick and had their eyes set on Alabama superstar Derek McKee. The trade altogether would send Scottie Pippen over to Chicago, while Olden Polynice and future draft picks to Seattle. Scottie Pippen would eventually become a household name and Michael Jordan's right-hand man in Chicago. Pippen was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2010. Wonder if Seattle's regretting it. Oh wait, they don't exist anymore. They moved to Oklahoma City. On the other hand, Polynice was decent, but safe to say that he was no Scottie Pippen. Harry Frazee made himself one of the most hated men in Boston sports history with one decision. Boston player Babe Ruth was unhappy in Boston with how much money they were paying him. He felt that he was worth more than the Red Sox were paying him at the time, $10,000 a season for a 3-season contract he signed in 1919. That's about $182,400 in 2025 money. So, How much money did Ruth want? He wanted double his 10,000. 10,000 times 2 is 20,000, by the way, if you don't know math. Frazee was also struggling financially, so he sold Ruth to the Yankees, the Red Sox's biggest rival, by the way. Babe Ruth's future was pretty self-explanatory. He cemented himself as one of the greatest to ever play the game of baseball. Frazee also cemented his legacy as one of the most hated people in Boston sports history. That is actually rivaled now with Don Sweeney. The year is 1992. The Green Bay Packers withhold the 17th overall pick in the draft. The Atlanta Falcons dealt a young quarterback to the Packers in favor of that pick. The quarterback, a guy from southern Mississippi by the name of Brett Favre. At first glance, many called this trade a victory for the Dirty Birds, but Packers general manager Ron Wolf knew what he was doing. Atlanta never used the pick and traded it to the Dallas Cowboys, who would take cornerback Kevin Smith from Texas A&M. Brett Favre made his first start for the Packers that September and never turned back. He was the Packers starter up until the 2007 season, bringing the Lombardi Trophy home for them in 1996. He cemented himself as one of, if not, the greatest Packers quarterbacks of all time. I'll talk about two more for today. These are some of the most lopsided deals you will ever find in sports. First up, the trade. The Los Angeles Kings and Edmonton Oilers participated in what could be the craziest trade in NHL history. The year, 1988. LA hands over Jimmy Carson, Martin Galinas, $15 million and the Kings' first-round draft picks in 1989, 91, and 93. The Edmonton Oilers handed over Mike Krushelnyski, Marty McSorley, and, of course, the cherry on top to make this one of the most infamous trades in NHL history, the great one himself, Wayne Gretzky. Canada protested. No Edmonton fan liked the trade at all. After the trade, the Oilers' owner was receiving death threats. Even the Canadian government tried to get involved and vetoed the trade despite it not being their power. No matter how much Canadian hockey fans hated it, Wayne Gretzky was a Los Angeles King. The last trade I will discuss is one of football's most absurd trades. This took place between the Minnesota Vikings and the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys traded away their running back Herschel Walker, a 1990 third round, a 1990 10th round, and a 1991 third rounder to Minnesota. And what Minnesota traded back would be absurd. They traded back linebacker Jesse Solomon, linebacker David Howard, cornerback Isaac Holt, defensive end Alex Stewart, a 1990 first round, a 1990 second round, a 1996 round, and a few conditional picks, which include 1991 first and second rounders, 1992 first, second, and third rounders. Wow. The players that were drafted by the Cowboys with these picks will shock you. First, the Vikings drafted wide receiver Pat Newman and tight end Mike Jones, as well as wide receiver Jake Reed. For Dallas, on the other hand, they drafted players such as Emmitt Smith, Darren Woodson, and Russell Maryland, and many others. This trade, some say, led to the Dallas Cowboys dynasty of the 1990s. Well, there you have it. A crap ton of crappy trades. Put the Luka Doncic trade in there, and you have a full list of trades that make some teams look really good and others like absolute toilet water. Yeah, I did leave out a couple, such as the Cy Young trade, the Wilt Chamberlain trade, and of course, the Lou Brock trade as well. I might make a sequel to this video, but don't expect that for a little bit. That'll do it for today's episode. This has been From the Bench, and I will see you next time. Farewell for now.